Good afternoon, students. The next topic that we are going to see is evaluation, which is part of your subject. So what is evaluation? Okay, in simple words, when you write a test, after you finish the test, the teacher evaluates your paper. Okay, so that is evaluation. So when somebody checks whether you have done correctly, that is called evaluation. So evaluation refers to the independent assessment of the extent to which a service achieves its goals. In terms of service, suppose somebody is providing a service for you. You go to the bank and you get a DD. So somebody evaluates the process, means whether you stayed a long time in the bank, whether the DD was correct, whether the demand draft was given at the right time, in the right way. All these things are evaluations. In a hospital, what are the things that we can evaluate? We can evaluate the waiting time of patients. We can evaluate the care that patients get in the hospital, care given by nurses, care given by doctors, care given by physiotherapists. So each of these can be evaluated. So not only the care, this is at a local level. So at a national level, the government of India has health policy. Then there is a healthcare model. We know the biomedical health model and social health model. So each of these policies, models, these can be evaluated. Okay, or a hospital or even a service in a hospital like physiotherapy or nursing, that can be evaluated. So each of these is checked to see if it is given right way and if it is beneficial to the people. So that is evaluation. So evaluation refers to the independent assessment of the extent to which a service achieves its goal, and it involves assessing. So assessment means you are checking and correcting in a structured and rigorous way. So it should be a structured way, so that every hospital you do the same kind of evaluation. You cannot do one type of evaluation in Karigiri and another type in CMC. So every institution should have the same structured and rigorous assessment and check whether the health resources and activities are achieving their goals. What is the goal for every healthcare organization? To ensure or give good health or improve the health. So an evaluation will check whether people who come to the hospitals are able to get good health care. Sometimes the cost of health care is very high, and like for example, if you go for a coronavirus treatment, sometimes they have to check the lung, they have to check the heart, they have to check the kidneys to see if everything is functioning normally, because the virus can affect any system. So that means it's a complex disease. So it is not like a common cold where you go and you're given treatment only for the cold. Here every part of the body has to be checked. So there are a lot of diagnostic tests involved and there are high costs involved. So each of these have to be evaluated. So if the government decides to check Karigiri Hospital for its treatment of coronavirus, then they will see what is the cost involved, what are the treatments involved, whether we are taking enough safety for the patient, safety for the relatives, safety for the health workers. So all these services are evaluated. So that is evaluation. Evaluation is checking whether the services are done correctly and checking whether the cost is correct. So this is the evaluation. So evaluation is a general term. It can also be applied to non-health conditions. For example, I already told you about correcting your exam papers. That is evaluation. Same way, educational services, you can check whether a teacher is teaching the right way. That is evaluation. You can check whether the ration shops are giving properly to the people, whether they are giving the right quantity, whether they are giving right quality, whether they are giving at the right time to all the people. So all these are things that can be evaluated. So in a healthcare system, what needs to be evaluated and at which level? So micro level means in a hospital, what are the smallest interventions? Like for example, a nurse is giving food to a patient. So how she feeds the patient? Some patients need to be fed through the nose. So whether the right amount is given for that right patient, or a physiotherapist treating a patient, whether the patient is being treated correctly, or a doctor is treating the patient. So whether the doctor is giving the right treatment, whether he is spending time with the patient, whether the patient understood the treatment. All these are micro level evaluation at the smallest level possible in an individual setting. Okay, at a system level it is for the whole hospital. For example, evaluation of whole of Karigiri, evaluation of whole of CMC hospital. So that is at a system level, you are checking whether everything is being done correctly. At the national level, you will check the whole country's expenditure on healthcare. For example, how much does the government budget for healthcare, whether it is adequate, and whether that healthcare budget is being given to all diseases, whether enough money is going into leprosy care, whether enough money is going into blindness control program. So each of these assessments are done at the national level. So at 3 levels evaluation can be done. So how is this evaluation done? Okay, it's a very important aspect because it is part of the research. As when you do research, you are assessing the same thing. When you are checking the waiting time of patients, when you are checking the results of patients in any research, especially next year when you do your hospital oriented project, you will be using all these methods of evaluation. So Donabedian is a person who created a model which had 3 things. One is a structure, process, outcome. Okay, so this was considered to be the best method of evaluating health service. Okay, so what is structure? Okay, in a human body, what gives structure? The bones give structure. Some structure means something which is present, which gives shape. Okay, so all the facilities in the hospital, equipment in the hospital, staff in the hospital, they give shape to the hospital. So evaluation of the services, the equipment, the facilities and staff, their qualifications, this is called structure, evaluation of structure. Then the process means how it is done. Okay, so process is the activity. So how much time is taken for treating a particular patient, what are the methods of examining the patient, what are the diagnostic facilities used in the hospital, and method of treatment. So these processes which are done, they are also evaluated. And finally the outcome is evaluated. What is the outcome in any health program or hospital would be the patient is getting better or getting worse, whether the patient is cured or not. So this is the other aspect of healthcare system. So this is the outcome. We'll see outcome in a little detail now. So I hope you understood the structure, process and outcome. So these are the 3 things that are usually evaluated in any health service. Okay, so I'll just give an example of a teacher taking a class. The class which is being taken is the structure. So what I'm doing now is the class, taking a class, that is the structure. Then we are using online method, that is the process. Okay, if you are in the college, we will be using LCD or PowerPoint or a lecture or Blackboard, that is the process, how we take the class. Then the outcome is whether you understood the class, and whether if you understood is the first outcome. Then the second or the more important outcome is whether you passed, and much more important is whether after you are passing you are using it in your job. So all these are outcomes. Okay, so in a school, for example, the best outcome would be the student coming first rank in the state or in the country. So the same thing you can apply to a healthcare evaluation. So suppose a physiotherapist is giving a treatment to a patient, or the evaluation of a hospital, or the evaluation of a national program. For example, we have blindness control program, national leprosy eradication programs. So these things can also be evaluated, how it is running, whether the patients are being benefited, whether all patients are being diagnosed, whether they are being treated correctly. So at every level, at a micro level where an individual treatment is given, that can be evaluated. At a system level, at a whole hospital level, you can evaluate the whole hospital, or at a national level you can evaluate the health policy of the country or the blindness control programs, national leprosy eradication. So at program level you can evaluate. So for example, in our country the polio has been eradicated, smallpox has been eradicated. So India has been successful in eradicating these diseases. So that is how do we evaluate that? We check how many patients were there in the 1940s and now how many patients are there, why there has been no cases detected for 3 years. So how the program was successful. So checking each of this, an assessment of this is called the evaluation. Okay, so now we'll go a little detail in outcome, because each of your research projects, you will have outcome, that is the result. Okay, so outcome is the result. So when you do a research outcome, what you get is the result. So it will tell whether the healthcare system is working or not, whether it is functioning normally, whether it is functioning well, or if there is any problem in the healthcare system. So assessment of the individual services on pain, on disability, on quality of life, and reassurance and patient's ability to cope with the health problems. These are all outcomes that are difficult to measure, but we are trying our best to measure. For example, I have told you about the visual analog scale, which can measure pain, but at the same time it's very subjective. Like some patients will have higher pain threshold, some will have lower pain threshold. Same with disability. Some people with maybe having a amputation of a leg, some people may have ulcer in a leg, and some people may have a upper limb, they may not have the right hand, some people may have eye problem. So each of this is a disability, but how do we find out the outcome of this, whether the person is suffering or not, and how the extent of which it is they are suffering, and the quality of life. These are all things which are not easy to measure, but we have got scales to measure each of this. Okay, so that can be used in your research. The assessment of outcome is complex because hospitals and health services work in varying levels of need. For example, a person who is a patient in CMC may have a different level of care. A person in a government hospital will have a different level of care. So you cannot compare these two patients in different areas, because not only the health but also their family situation and the amount of money they have. So many things come into play, and they all affect the outcome of the patient. So one of the best ways in which we can evaluate healthcare intervention is the randomized control trial, or the RCT. So randomized control trial. So randomization is something which you will learn in research on how to randomize patients. Okay, so that you don't have bias, and it's a control trial. So here, when a treatment is given and you are evaluating or assessing the outcome, neither does the doctor know that you are evaluating, nor does the patient know that you are evaluating. So it is double blind. So both of them do not know about your treatment about your evaluating the treatment. So that is why it's called randomized control trial, and it is the best method of checking outcome. The next method is the survey methods. So we have already studied about questionnaires in your research this thing. So questionnaire use one of the method of assessing outcome through social survey methods. Then the acceptability, okay, social acceptability, and you can check the patient satisfaction also on the healthcare that is provided. So that is another method. Then the third way in which social sciences can help is to examine the cost. The treatment cost is very high in some hospitals, some countries. In other places it is very low or normal. So how much is normal? And for a treatment of, for example, treatment of a leprosy ulcer patient, what is the cost of treatment? So based on various interventions you can find out that is another aspect that you can do research in. The fourth thing is the goals of a intervention or service. So you identify what is the goal and whether the goal has been achieved. For example, suppose a treatment in physiotherapy is given for pain relief. So whether the treatment has achieved its goal, whether the patient has not having pain now. So that is one way of assessing. Then another one is evaluating the methodology. So the process in which the intervention is done, whether it is right. That is another method of checking the outcome. So these are some of the ways in which you can do research. So when you do research on all these things, it's called evidence-based medicine or evidence-based management or evidence-based treatment. What is evidence? Evidence means through the research you have found that something works. So it is based on evidence or research. So it is published in journals, and based on that treatment is changed or given to a particular person. So evidence-based medicine is very, very important for the future of healthcare, but because it is based on research. For example, coronavirus, Donald Trump says hydroxychloroquine will help. But after research, they have found it does not help. Okay, so that is evidence-based practice. Just because the president of America told hydroxychloroquine helps coronavirus, everybody took the medicine, then half of them would be suffering from various side effects. So research is the best method of telling the outcome of a treatment or outcome of a program. So that is why evidence-based practice is very important. But at the same time, what happens is some people do not like evidence-based practice because it takes the authority from them. For example, instead of Donald Trump, if some hospital head had told that he is giving the best treatment using hydroxychloroquine, then if he is proved wrong, then he loses his authority. Even here, the president of America, now he has lost some of its his value, because people think that he did not understand about the treatment. So that is why some people do not like evidence-based practice. But for the healthcare industry and for patients and for people who are treating patients, evidence-based practice is the best thing to check outcome. Okay, then the last topic for this chapter is malpractice. Okay, malpractice is something that you will study in your third year also. It's a topic which comes. So what is malpractice? Malpractice means, we already studied a little bit about this in the Consumer Protection Act. So every patient is a consumer, and a doctor or a health worker provides service to the patient. If there is any deficiency in service, then that is called malpractice. Okay, sometimes malpractice refers to the improper treatment or culpable neglect of a patient by a health service professional. There is a law called the tort law. Means, as a health worker, you owe a duty. Owe means you have to provide a duty to the patient without harming or injuring the patient. Okay, so when you are not able to provide such good care and the patient has got some injury because you did not maintain your professional standard and your ethical standard or normal standard in your profession, if the patient has got any injury, then that is called malpractice. For example, suppose you give the wrong treatment. Suppose instead of doing cataract surgery for the right eye, you have done left eye cataract surgery, or during abdominal surgery you left a piece of gauze inside the patient's stomach, which leads to ulcer, pus formation. Then these are all things that are not correct. That means it happened because of the neglect of the health professional. So that is called malpractice. So when this happens, the patient can sue or take the doctor to the court. Okay, so that is malpractice. Medical profession has become more defensive in its approach because of malpractice claims. Because patients are taking the doctors and health workers to the court, people have become more careful. Doctors have become more careful. Now, if a patient comes to me and I am checking the patient and I diagnose the patient as having fracture in his leg, okay, just by touching the patient's leg, I know it's a fracture. But still, I send the patient for a X-ray, for a CT scan, thinking that suppose it's not a fracture, or if I do something wrong, the patient will take me to court. So these days we find that doctors are ordering more tests, more procedures, more diagnostic tests, so that later on the patients will not blame the doctor, because anything can go wrong in healthcare. So suppose something goes wrong and then the patient will blame the doctor. So to avoid all this, doctors try to write a lot of tests, diagnosis tests, and they write a lot of notes about the patients. Okay, another reason why we can say the medical profession has become defensive is because there is an increase in the rates of cesarean surgeries for delivering a baby. Instead of waiting for the mother to deliver a child, which can lead to some complications and some complaints, pain and other things, doctors tell, okay, it's easy for them to do a cesarean surgery and they deliver the child, because the child is, it's safer to deliver a child through cesarean section. So the other reason is there is an increase in the claim of lot of patients are taking doctors to court. So these are the reasons why malpractice has come to the highlight now. And but the problem is, because of these issues, the doctor patient relationship is lost. The doctors are always scared of some patients, especially those who are loud, those who are talking too much. So the doctors are thinking, what if something goes wrong, this kind of person will take me to court. So there is a rift in the doctor patient relationship. We'll study more about doctor patient relationship in the next chapter. So there is a rift or separation in the doctor patient relationship. So what are the examples of malpractice? Sometimes the medicine which is supposed to be given to a person, a wrong medicine can be prescribed, or a wrong dose can be prescribed by the doctor. Then it is malpractice. Sometimes wrong treatment is given, or the correct treatment is not done, or there is a delay in treating a patient which leads to the patient becoming more serious, or performing a wrong procedure like wrong cataract surgery, or underqualified person doing some work. Like for example, a MBBS doctor is conducting a cesarean surgery and not a OG doctor. Okay. Or a wrong diagnosis. If you if suppose a patient comes to you with cough and cold, and you diagnose the patient as having coronavirus, but actually the patient is not having coronavirus, or the other way around, the patient comes to you with coronavirus, you diagnose as common cold, and the patient goes and spreads it to 10 more people. So all this is malpractice. Then if you do the wrong surgery, or at the wrong place, or the wrong site of surgery, all this is malpractice. Then we come to what is negligence. Negligence is something where a normal person, okay, who is supposed to do a particular activity with the proper standard of care, does not do under the normal circumstances. For example, when any health professional is supposed to treat a patient in the right way for the right disease. Okay, so if 10 doctors do it correctly, and one person, because of his negligence or because of lack of interest or lack of qualification, does the wrong thing which is not the right standard, then it is called as negligence. So the important word here is standard of care. That is, the normal standard of care is not provided by the doctor. So what is the normal standard of care? There are 4 aspects of medical care. One is the duty which the medical professional or the health professional owes to the patient. So as a health professional, you have a duty towards the patient. You are supposed to do something for a patient. If you do not do it, that is called breach of duty. Okay, and if the breach of duty results in an injury to the patient, then the injury can cause damage. Okay, and that is when you can be taken to court. So first is, you have a duty as a health worker towards the patient. If you do not do your duty, then it is breach of duty. This breach can cause injury to the patient. Okay, so this can result in damage. Okay, so when this is where the Consumer Protection Act comes, because in case you have not done your duty, then the patient can take you to the consumer court. We already saw in that chapter, if it's less than 20 lakhs, you go to the state local this thing. If it's 20 lakhs to 1 crore, you go to the state redressal forum. If it's more than 1 crore, you go to the national redressal forum. So what does the patient have to prove against the health professional? First, the patient has to prove that there was a duty of care owed by the physician or doctor. I hope you understand this concept. Suppose as a patient you have paid money to the doctor, or you even told the doctor that you will pay money after he does a surgery. That means the doctor has to do a duty for you. He owes a duty. Okay, and doctor in Delhi does not owe a patient in Vellore anything if the patient has not talked to the person at all. But at the same time, if I was a doctor and you come to me as a patient and tell me, sir, I am suffering from this problem, and I tell you that I will cure you of that problem, then that means I owe you, because I have promised you something. So I owe you a duty of care. Suppose I do not do the duty, Suppose I am in a hospital, you are my patient, and I have neglected you, I have not done your duty, then that is wrong. And if my neglect has caused your condition to worsen, or you have become more serious, or it has caused disability or pain, then you can take me to court. So you have to prove in court that I owed a duty to you and I did not do my duty properly, and because I did not do my duty properly, you were injured or your situation became worse. All that has to be proved in court. If you prove that in court, then the health worker will be liable for the damage that he caused you, and the health worker as an individual, or the insurance company which supports him, or the hospital that he works in, is liable to pay you damages as per the consumer forum tells. Okay, so that is malpractice. Hope you understood all these topics. With this we finish this chapter. We'll soon start the next chapter. Thank you.